Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you a preview for the Man United versus Brentford game. It's this Wednesday night, the 5th of April. It's at Old Trafford and it's an 8 o'clock kick-off. Brentford are 7th in the Premier League. They're enjoying a very good season to their standards. Brentford drew their last game with Brighton 3-3. Don't forget, Brentford thrashed Manchester United 4-0 towards the start of the season. Manchester United won this fixture at Old Trafford against Brentford last season 3-0. The Brentford manager is Thomas Frank. He's been the Brentford manager for over 4 years. He got appointed in as the Brentford manager back in October 2018. Before, Thomas Frank was the Brentford assistant. And before, he managed Bromby and he managed Denmark's under 17s and under 19s. Last season was Brentford's first season in the Premier League. Don't forget, they were out of the top flight for 70 odd years. The players Brentford have got, they've got Ivan Toney. He's probably the best player Brentford have got. Manchester United have been tentatively linked with him. Nathan Young-Coombs, he's an attacking player. Brian Mbeumo is a good attacking player. They've got Mikkel Damsgaard. Keane Lewis Potter. Brentford got him from Hull. He's injured at the moment. Shandon Baptiste. Christian Norgard. Matthias Jensen. Finn Stevens. They got Pontus Jansson. He's a former Leeds United player. Rico Henry. The goalkeepers Brentford have got, they've got Thomas Strakoshier and David Raya. Man United have been linked with David Raya. We've been looking at him as a replacement for De Gea. So they're the goalkeepers they've got. They've also got Ethan Pinnock. So they are quite a few of the players Brentford do have. They've lost players. Don't forget, they lost Ollie Watkins. They lost Ben Rama. They loaned Sergi Canos out to Olympiacos. So they are a few of the players that Brentford have lost. Manchester United are coming into this game on the back of a 2-0 defeat to Newcastle at St James's Park. Reflecting on that loss, Man United are winless in the last 3 league games, and Man United have not scored a single goal in the last 3 league games. Manchester United have got to get back to winning ways in the league. After the 2-0 defeat to Newcastle, Ten Hag did say Magpies were more determined. It was a very poor performance by Man United against Newcastle. You know, Man United only registered 1 shot on target in the entire game. That justifies how poor Man United were. You know, Newcastle played us off the park. They were better in all areas of the pitch. They were better defensively, better in the midfield, better in attack. Newcastle had very good chances in the game, so it could have been more than 2-0. Newcastle had a total of 22 shots in the game. Joseph Willock, of course, opened the scoring for Newcastle from a header. He could have had a hat-trick in the game because he had, 2 fantastic chances. Don't forget De Gea made a double save in that first half. And Callum Wilson came off the bench and scored Newcastle's second goal. That was a header, came from a set piece. So there were the goals. Alexander Isak could have scored because he had a very good headed chance. Produced a good save from De Gea. Newcastle hit the woodwork in the game. Sean Longstaff had a good chance from 25 yards out, just went wide. But, if it weren't for De Gea, it could have been at least 4 or 5-0 to Newcastle. But Newcastle, of course, have overtaken Manchester United. Newcastle have gone up to 3rd in the league. There's a very good chance, that Newcastle will get Champions League qualification for next season. And what an achievement that would be for Newcastle United. Man United have now dropped to 4th. But yeah, we need to bounce back against Brentford. Man United do have some players missing. Of course, Casemiro is suspended. He's got 2 games to serve now. He's a big miss for Man United in that midfield. Our midfield looks very poor without him, because he makes a difference in the midfield, Casemiro, when he plays. Of course, Eriksen is still out with an ankle injury. Van der Beek's out for the season. He don't play anyway because he's a squad player. Garnacho, he's out for a few weeks. And that's it, they're the players Man United have got missing. Martial's just come back from injury not so long ago. Sabitzer just recently recovered from a knock. Rashford, of course, played against Newcastle, but not so long ago he was injured. Don't forget, he had to withdraw from the England squad during the international break. But despite that loss to Newcastle, I'm still backing Erik ten Hag. I believe he's the right manager for Man United. Don't get me wrong, there has been some games this season where I've questioned some of his decisions, but I've not really criticised him. We've had setbacks this season. We've mostly recovered from them well. But that defeat to Newcastle is definitely a setback that Man United must recover from. Erik ten Hag is certainly our best manager since Ferguson. You can see the progress he's made in his first season as United manager. Won us the Carabao Cup. That was his first trophy as United manager, and it was Man United's first trophy in 6 years. Got us to the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Got us to the quarter-finals of the Europa League. If Ten Hag can win another trophy this season and get us a top 4 finish, I'd underline that and say that's a successful season. Erik ten Hag is almost a year into his reign as Man United manager. Ten Hag is under contract with the club until 2025. Prior to the Fulham game in the Cup, he said Ten Hag is set to earn a new contract regardless of the club's owner. And back in February, Ten Hag won Premier League Manager of the Month. He replaced Ralph Rangnick. Ten Hag has brought players to Manchester United, as you all know. Revert back to January, brought Weghorst in on loan, Sabitzer in on loan and Butland in on loan. But he didn't make a permanent signing in January. Revert back to last summer, he brought the likes of Terrell Malaysia in, Martinez, Christian Eriksen, Casemiro, Anthony, Martin Dubravka. You know, Ten Hag has spent over 200 million so far as Man United manager, and he's enjoyed 2 transfer windows at the club so far. Let me put into the equation, he's let a lot of players go as well. And in the summer, you know, Ten Hag is looking to make more signings. On the other side of things, he's going to be getting rid of more players as well. I think at least 6 or 7 players, maybe 8 players are going to leave Man United in the summer. You know, Ten Hag is planning a clear out. I'm hearing that Leicester want Harry Maguire on loan. It said Harry Maguire could leave next season. You know, Harry Maguire's already been at Leicester before. Man United got Harry Maguire from Leicester in a deal worth 80 million. Man United definitely overpaid for him. When Maguire officially signed for the club, he signed a 6-year contract. He's too inconsistent, and revert back to was it last season, the vast majority of Man United fans were demanding for the captaincy to be taken off him. And Maguire's not one of our first choice centre-halves. He hasn't been first choice since the arrival of Lisandro Martinez. Ten Hag, I think he'll get rid of Jones in the summer. I think he'll get rid of Tellez permanently. Tellez is out on loan with Sevilla at the moment. I think he'll get rid of Eric Bailly permanently. He's out on loan with Marseille. I'm expecting Lindelof to leave. Don't forget, Ten Hag blocked Lindelof from going out on loan. 2 Autosport newspapers said last week, was it, that Lindelof had been offered to Inter Milan. Inter Milan are looking for a replacement for Milan Skriniar. Lindelof's got like 15 months left on his Man United contract, and he's only played like 15 games this season, or is it 16 now, because he actually came on against Newcastle. Man United got Lindelof from Benfica back in 2017 in a deal worth 31 million. He hasn't been one of our first choice centre-halves since the arrival of Varane. I think Ten Hag will get rid of Dean Henderson permanently. He's out on loan with Nottingham Forest. I think he'll get rid of Tom Heaton. Tom Heaton's like our third choice keeper, with obviously Man United getting Jack Butland in on loan. But at the time we brought Tom Heaton in, we brought him in as a backup to De Gea. We got Tom Heaton on a free from Villa. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I can see Ten Hag getting rid of him. He's not our first choice right back. He hasn't been our first choice right back for a while. Diego Dalot is our first choice right back. But this season, Bissaka's started a lot of games, because revert back to earlier on in the season, Dalot had a couple of injuries. And plus, since the World Cup, Dalot has struggled. So that's why in a lot of games, Ten Hag's preferred Bissaka ahead of him. I heard earlier on this season, Bissaka could make a return to Crystal Palace. Man United got Wan-Bissaka in a deal worth 50 million from Crystal Palace back in the summer of 2019. McTominay, I can see Ten Hag getting rid of him in the summer. Manchester United are willing to listen to offers for McTominay. McTominay is not one of Man United's first choice centre midfielders. He hasn't been first choice since the arrivals of Casemiro and Christian Eriksen. Donny van de Beek, he'll leave in the summer. You know, he don't play. He's a squad player. Can't play for the remainder of the season anyway, because he's out with a knee injury. Don't forget, last season Van der Beek was out on loan with Everton. Man United did get Donny van der Beek from Ajax in a deal worth around 40 million. It was like 35 million up front with 5 million in add-ons. Anthony Elanga, I can see him leaving in the summer. He's lost his place in the team since Garnacho risen up the ranks and got into the senior squad. Revert back to like January, Anthony Elanga received 10 offers. Anthony Martial, he's another one I can see leaving in the summer. It said earlier on the season that he's been put up for sale. Anthony Martial. He'll go if Man United do get a striker in. He hasn't played many games this season, like I've said, because he's been hampered with injuries. Wout Weghorst, I'm very sceptical that Man United will sign him permanently, so I can see him leaving when his loan spell comes to a conclusion at Man United. Weghorst has scored 2 goals for the club so far. Weghorst played yesterday against Newcastle. He did have a chance. It hit the side netting. So there you go. But Ten Hag, was the one that recommended Mitchell van der Gaag and Steve McLaren in. Revert back to when he was at Ajax, he did very well because he won Eredivisie titles, won Dutch Cups. Back in 2019, guided Ajax to the Champions League semi-finals. And the news regarding the Glazers. Recently, the Glazers opt against stadium plan. As you all know, Man United co-owner Avram Glazer does not want to sell the club. The Glazers did clash over the sale. The Glazers have been demanding $6 billion for Manchester United. In November last year, the Glazers announced that the club was up for sale. Since then, we've had a lot of interest. For so long, United fans have been protesting against the Glazers. The Glazers have owned the club for 18 years. They purchased the club for $790 million back in 2005. But as you all know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe's been interested in buying the club. Obviously, the Qataris have been interested in buying the club now for a while, but we'll see what happens. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do. Consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless.